Here we go then. The first chapter. A world premiere, in fact, right here in Donegal. The first chapter of my brand new book. My precious. My brand new book, which is called Noodle the Doodle. Illustrations by Katie Halford. And I don't know why I hesitated there. Sorry, Katie. And words by me. Here we go then. Chapter 1. New Boy. The day began like every other day began at Wigley Primary. "Good morning, everyone," said Mr. Reed. "Good morning, Mr. Reed," sang the children. They stretched out each word so that they nearly ran out of breath. Mr. Reed smiled because only he knew what he was about to say next. And he knew that what he was about to say next would make everyone very excited. "I have something important to tell you," said Mr. Reed. "Look, here are the pupils. You'll learn their names in a minute, all waiting to hear what Mr. Reed has to say." Outside, a crow cawed and a car tooted its horn, but inside everything suddenly went very quiet. Everyone was wondering what Mr. Reed would say. Is it your birthday, Mr. Reed?" said Sol. "No, Sol," said Mr. Reed. "It's not my birthday, but that's a very good guess." Sol looked quite pleased with himself, even though he wasn't right. "Is it macaroni cheese for lunch, Mr. Reed?" said Shakira. "No, Shakira," said Mr. Reed. "It's even more special than that." "Whoa," said Shakira, who couldn't think of anything more special than macaroni cheese, especially if it came with a bit of garlic bread and a little bit of salad on the side. Yes, Nora," said Mr. Reed, spotting that Nora had put her hand up. Has a new day of the week been invented?" said Nora. "Don't be stupid," said a voice before Mr. Reed had a chance to answer. Now, Josh," said Mr. Reed. "There's no need for that." "That was a brilliant guess, Nora." Nora grinned. "Sorry, Nora," said Josh, but he didn't sound very sorry. "That's okay," said Nora. "Now," said Mr. Reed, "is everyone listening?" Everyone nodded. You could tell that they were all desperate to know what Mr. Reed was going to tell them. "Excellent," said Mr. Reed, "because today we are welcoming a new member of class." Everyone gasped. There hadn't been a new member of class since Abdul arrived, and that was ages ago. "Are you ready to meet him?" said Mr. Reed. There was another gasp. So it was a boy, not a girl. But what would he be like? Everyone began to wonder. Sol wondered how old he would be. Shakira wondered if he'd like macaroni cheese. Nora wondered if he'd like science and inventing stuff like she did. Josh wondered if he'd be good at football like he was. "Well," said Mr. Reed, "are you ready?" "Yes, Mr. Reed," sang the children all together. "You must be nice and quiet when I bring him in," said Mr. Reed. "He's a little bit shy." "Like you," Callum whispered to Lou, but Lou didn't say anything because it was true. She was a bit shy. "Will you all be nice and quiet?" said Mr. Reed. "Yes, Mr. Reed," sang everyone together, but they sang it very quietly. "Good," said Mr. Reed as he walked out of the classroom. "I'll be back in a minute." Everyone waited, but no one said anything. There were too many questions spinning around in their heads. What would the new member of the class look like? What would his name be? Who would he sit next to? But there was one question no one had thought to ask. How many legs would their new classmate have? Boys and girls, said Mr. Reed as he came back into the room carrying a small dog, I'd like you all to meet Noodle. Woof, 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 said the dog before looking up at Mr. Reed and licking his face.